Tragically, nearly 35% of Texans experience domestic violence from an intimate partner. Now more than ever, they need our support. Safe Haven provides freedom from domestic violence in the Fort Worth area. Thomas J. Henry is proud to team with Safe Haven to help end domestic violence through safety, support, prevention, and social change. Please join us to create a legacy of resilience and hope.
Pickle, let's go to the hotline. It's Tuesday, so we get to talk with the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, the voice of the Texas Longhorns. You can hear him on the Horn in Austin every weekday, along with Jeff Howe on Light the Tower, and you can see him on High School Scoreboard Live every Friday night alongside usually Aaron Hardigan and myself. He was the great Craig Way. Craig, how are you, my friend?
Hey, it's week 11. How else could I be? Just fabulous, ready to get excited. And, you know, I've worn out a calculator or two the past couple of weeks, changing out batteries, getting ready on point differentials. Let's rock it.
It is week 11, and I know that this is one of your favorite weeks. You always talk about how your favorite weeks are state championship week, first week of the season, and then this week. So as you're fond of saying, we'll unwrap the present on Friday. We'll start to unwrap the present on Friday. Is there one, you asked me this question on your show, I'll return the favor. Is there one particular district, area, one wacky situation that you are particularly enthralled with this time of year?
Well, you gave a really good answer on it, and I'm going to kind of mimic it a little bit. I did like what you were saying about 10-5 AD1, which ultimately is going to wind up with what's going on with 11-5 AD1 in the second round of the playoffs that the winners project out like that. And 11-5 AD1 is not set yet. Is as good as Georgetown has been of late. Cedar Park has been that good as well, because we keep saying they were the best 1-5 team in Texas, then the best 2-5, then the best 3-5, and the best 4-5. They have a chance to be maybe the best 5-5 if they beat Georgetown, and if they do, that's the difference between finishing second and fourth. There's that district race, and then obviously what we've been talking about in 25-6A, which is just a hot mess, and you know, it could wind up going to a second level multi-school tiebreak. It could get to that, but you know, that whole apple cart could be upset because that district has been nothing if unpredictable other than Vandegrift and Round Rock at the top. But it's not just the three teams, Manor and Vista Ridge and Cedar Ridge, trying to get in. It's how it also sets up the balance of power for Vandegrift, whether they go Division I or Division II, based on whether Cedar Ridge gets in or not. So there's a lot to go. I think Vista Ridge is a +8 on the second level because Vista Ridge, Cedar Ridge, and Manor are all flat level, 0 tie break, round robin against one another. So now you go to the total points differential for all district games. I think right now Vista Ridge is a +8, and then you've got Manor, which is, I guess, a +3, and Cedar Ridge is at 0. But Vista easily has the most difficult game of the three. They've got to play Round Rock. And Cedar Ridge has a very winnable game against McNeil, and Manor has a little tougher challenge against Stony, but they're all winnable games for those two. But if Vista Ridge up and wins or one of the other two loses, we just throw all that stuff out the window. Never mind all the number crunching. Everything would be all set, ready to go.
Talking with Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. So, Craig, we're into Week 11, and it's an interesting slate of games. I think that what is so fascinating about this week is that if this were Week 7 and you just looked across the state of Texas, you'd be like, it's a good slate, not a great slate. It's kind of middle of the road type. But when you add in the obvious urgency for a number of teams, it kind of makes it even more impactful. My question for you is, in a week like this, do you find yourself drawn more to heavyweight matchups that we would otherwise be drawn to in every other week, or do you find yourself drawn to the I'll give you an example, the Burnett and Taylors of the Burnett and Taylors of the world, where the winner is in and the loser is out? Which do you find yourself drawn to more?
Basically, what you just described there is what we saw with Jarrell and Manor New Tech last week. Win and you're in, lose, then it's done. Playoffs to make playoffs to make playoffs to make playoffs. They all become playoff games at this point, right? And that becomes a very, very interesting. That holds a little more interest to me, if only because the powerhouses kind of sort their way through it and go on. Now, the exception to that rule, and here's kind of where it leads back to that 25-6A I was talking about. How does it affect a power player in 6A? And it only would apply to 6A, whether they go Division I or Division II. If we're talking about a South Lake Carroll and that weird tiebreak that could happen up there, but probably not likely to happen, what we were talking about with Katy for a lot of the year, and what we're clearly discussing with Vandegrift in 25-6A is whether they go Division or Division II. That is the hanging chad in this election season that can throw things out of whack. Otherwise, I'm with you. I'm all about win and in and lose and you go home. And you've got several of those happening across the state, which are a lot of fun to keep track of.
Talking with Craig Way, Texas High School Hall of Famer here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. All right, Craig, I know that you guys always break down the rankings on your show on Light the Tower in Austin every Tuesday. And so I want to get your take, because it's something that we wrangled with over the weekend, was what to do with the very, very tippy top of 6A. Part of it is that it doesn't matter, right? They're both Westlake and North Shore are going to the playoffs. They're both going to be all right. But we made the decision to flip-flop Westlake and North Shore, put Westlake back in the number one spot ahead of North Shore despite North Shore's win over Tascasita. I'm interested in what your temperature presently is on the very top of the state's largest classification.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask what went into the mindset. I even said before you got on the show with me, I was saying to my audience, I said, here's the rankings. Westlake is back in the one spot. Mm-hmm. And of course we know it's not going to matter ultimately. The bracketing takes care of itself, but it's a great conversation piece. And I said, it is my thought that basically this is hinging, my humble opinion, I wasn't in the room with you guys, it hinges on one guy, Caleb Bailey. Mm-hmm. If he's not playing, the North Shore offense is different and, might I say, a little more vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And so at least as it goes deep into the playoffs. Now, as we talked about, they're going to play a Pasadena ISD school in my district. There's not going to be any issue there. And there may not be for a little bit, but maybe in a rematch with the Tascasita, and certainly on down the line, if they're matching up, say, with a Westlake or somebody else like that, in a state semifinal, then maybe it becomes a factor. But that was the reasoning I put behind it, was Caleb Bailey isn't there, so therefore the offense is affected. Therefore, the team's success rate is a little more imperiled, and that's why I figured that you guys slid Westlake back to the number one spot. This Westlake team is not the super power juggernaut dominant team we've seen the last 3 years, but they're pretty darn good in that they're now tied for the third all-time consecutive win streak at 49. If they ran the table and won the state title, they would then be right there at Allen's number 2 spot at number 57. They'd be close to that. So, they're good. They're really good, and they're certainly capable of winning the state title. I don't know that they're as quite the juggernaut as they've been in the past, but they're certainly good enough to win it again. And we know that North Shore is good enough to win Division I again with a healthy Caleb Bailey. Only time will tell on those things.
One last question for Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. It's the meanest thing we do to each other each week, which is I'm going to give you 3 choices and allow you to teleport to one of these games on this weekend. I would say Friday night, but everything's getting moved, so who knows what day these games are happening. You can either go to Hawley, Texas, to watch Hawley and Cisco. You can go to Kilgore, Texas, to watch Tyler Chapel Hill and Kilgore, or you can go down to the Golden Triangle and watch Silsbee and Jasper. Which of those 3 are you heading to?
No Midlothian Red Oak?
Midlothian Red Oak. You could
that's sicko games.
You can make an argument that there's an even bigger game in Midlothian. Well, rather, I guess it's in Everman though. Midlothian Heritage and newly state ranked Everman is also on that list too.
Yep. Absolutely. I would probably lean toward that one in the Big Country. Give me some Big Damn Lobos, the BD Lobos, and Cisco against Hawley, and that Hawley has just been really impressive to see. You know, Tep, you and I together got to work that game last year, and we saw, you know, how much better Shiner was than Hawley, and they were completely ready for the big stage. They'd been there before, and Hawley was adjusting to the big stage. Hawley's ready for the big stage now. I would submit to you if it gets to that point, but Cisco can give them a fight. I really like that matchup. It'll be fun to keep track of that one as well as several others this weekend.
I've got good news for both of y'all too. Yes. By the way, this just in: you can watch Silsby and Jasper on Texan Live this weekend. So good choice going out to the Big Country because you can pull that up on TexanLive.com.
See, and that's why she is the gatekeeper and the keymaster of all good things Texan Live, as well as the princess of Llano County.
Yeah, it's true. I do have one other question though, and it just because we to pull back the curtain, we were unawares of whether or not you were going to be able to join us on Scoreboard on Friday night because Texas plays at Kansas State this week. It turns out it's a 6:00 kick, and you're a sicko, so you will do both. You'll do Scoreboard on Friday night and then go up to Manhattan. You've been doing this gig long enough, and you've had enough trips to Manhattan, Kansas. How do you feel about Manhattan, Kansas?
How does Texas feel about being in the SEC? No. Let me not go there. Actually, I like going there. The only issue about Manhattan is it's kind of out there away from everything else. I like the Aggieville section of town with the restaurants and bars is really good. The broadcast booth is one of the best in the Big 12 for calling a football game. They have great broadcast here in their baseball park, Brandwood's Coliseum for basketball, and Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I have no complaints with my working environment there. It's just sometimes it's a little difficult to get there from here, but I like it. I really do like going to Kansas State. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't even mind the drive. So
I was going to say, he's driving, right?
It'll be a drive for sure.
I knew he was driving. There was of course he was. He's Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Hall of Famer. Hear him on the Horn in Austin every weekday, and then you can see him on High School Scoreboard Live this Friday night alongside Aaron Hardigan and myself on High School Scoreboard Live as we unwrap the playoff present. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend, and I will see you on Friday.
Let's not get any paper cuts opening those playoff packages on Friday.
Thanks, Craig.
Bye, Craig.
Bye.
There he goes. Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. Joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today.
Tuesdays.
Yeah, we didn't know because if it was an 11 a.m. kick or even a 2:30 kick, he couldn't do Scoreboard.
Right.
But he's going to drive from the studios in DFW up to Manhattan and call the game 6. But it's 6:00 kick. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he said he'll get there around probably 3.
Yeah, he'll be all right. Anyway, we appreciate Craig Way hopping on with us.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.